Broussard, is this series as good as over with the Clips up 3-1?
Well, first of all, Jenna, let me say congratulations to the Clippers because this is just a shocking development. I've been told by two of our esteemed panelists that the Denver Nuggets were clearly, unequivocally, the best team in this series. So for the Clippers to somehow win 3 of 4 games, I mean, that is rare that an inferior team can beat a superior team 3 out of 4 times. It's shocking. So props to the Clippers
my friend.
for their heart. The little engine that could. I mean, it's just incredible. But to answer the question, Jen, it's over. All right, the only question, of course, is does it end in 5 or does it end in 6? I would not be the least bit surprised if Denver wins the next game, pushes it to 6. That's actually what I predicted from the get-go. So that's probably what will happen. We may go 6. But this is over. As far as drama, as far as intrigue, as far as suspense, it's over. Now what we're all watching for is how close or can the Clippers get to their A game for their showdown with the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Look, I know Nick has been praying against it. He's been hoping against it. He's been trying to speak it out of existence. Out of existence.
I want it to happen.
He does not
I
want
didn't
to
think
see
it was
the
going to
Clippers
happen.
in the Western
I
Conference
want it to.
Finals.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Come on.
I do want it to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen. I did.
Okay,
listen, I picked Denver, but unlike you, Broussard, I pick with my head, not my heart. Now, my head might have taken me wrong, but I told you all before the playoffs I wanted the gauntlet. Portland, Houston, Clippers, Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee's gone, so maybe it'll be Portland, Houston, Clippers, and then obviously one of the 3 other teams remaining in the East is what it does look like it's going to be. I must admit, it does appear that the Clippers are going to win this series. Now, I picked the Nuggets in 7. I'm not great at math, but I think to win a series in 7, you have to lose 3 times. You would prefer it not be 3 of the first 4, admittedly. And what I think happened last night was the Nuggets let Game 3 beat them twice. The Nuggets know that they squandered an opportunity in Game 3, and it carried over into their play in the first half of Game 4. And then to their credit, despite being down 18, they tie the game early in the 3rd quarter. And then you saw, as Jenna mentioned, the full force of Kawhi, the full force of that Clippers defense play a really exceptional game, almost start to finish defensively. And Kawhi played an A-level game on both ends all game. And people say I'm a Kawhi Leonard hater. Shout out to Kawhi, tying his career high in playoff assists. One day, I do believe Kawhi Leonard's going to get that elusive first career playoff triple-double to match his 1 career regular season triple-double. He will get there. I know some people have doubted him. Some people have said it'll never happen. I do believe one day Kawhi will have a 10-assist playoff game. I truly do, in my heart, believe that'll happen one day. But he was great. And listen, I mean, Brandon, you and I both picked the Nuggets. And right now, at least at the moment,
I was one of those guys.
we both look at least slightly foolish. And our good friend, the esteemed Chris Broussard, who's covered the league for 47 years,
fault, Nick.
looks like the right guy on the set.
And by the way, Brandon, here's what else is working against Denver. Let's call it a little tension, a little dissension in the ranks. Michael Porter Jr., none too happy after the game with the Nuggets. Offense. All right, Wilds, what'd you make of that?
I mean, part of me thinks that it's like really out of pocket to tell the reporters before you tell your coaching staff and just sort of air your dirty laundry. And then part of me thinks, Broussard, got a point. You're down 3-1. In the first half, he had 25 touches. The second half, he had 12 touches, 7th on the team. He's like, guys, I'm really good. I don't know if you've been watching the sports highlights, but I'm good. I was like the steal of the draft. So Broussard, I'm sort of on the fence in this one. I'm kind of leaning towards agreeing with him.
Look, you would like to have him just go talk to Mike Malone privately about it, but let's face it, part of what makes Michael Porter Jr. a special player, or potentially a special player, maybe a star eventually in this league, is his precociousness, his fearlessness, his ultra confidence in himself. And, you know, he's a 22-year-old rookie, essentially, and he lit up the bubble during the seeding games, made the all-seeding team, had 15 points in the first half last night. You don't do that unless you're a fearless kid that thinks you can do anything against the Clippers, no less. And so the good comes with the bad. And the bad of that is you make statements like this publicly to the media. But he is right. There was a play in the second half where he had, I think it was Lou Williams, posted up, and Murray had the ball and could have hit him. But Murray dribbles to the other side, tells Porter to kind of move out to the wing, and then passes it to Porter on the wing when he's covered. And that clearly frustrated Michael Porter Jr. So, look, I saw this coming. Michael Porter Jr., having played so well in the seeding games, was going to have trouble going down in the pecking order when Jamal Murray came back. And that is what has happened. Yep. It's a good problem to have ultimately, but they've got some guys that aren't happy with their roles, and that's an issue.
I just want to add a little bit of context here. I think some of this is carryover frustration from Game 3 when Murray didn't have it, Jokic was exhausted, and all of a sudden the three biggest shots of the series from the Nuggets' perspective are being taken by Jeremy Grant instead of by Michael Porter Jr. So I think he was frustrated already going into this game. And listen, I like Porter Jr. I followed him throughout high school. He's from my home state of Missouri. He went to MU even though he never played for MU, so I root for the guy. But one of the reasons it's hard to game plan him into being the third option is because you don't know if he's going to be so bad defensively that you have to take him out of the game. So while I get it, you can speak to the media to get to your coach. Maybe as a rookie, when you're essentially a designated hitter, you don't do it after a Game 4 second-round loss against Chris Broussard's beloved Clippers. So he's got to take some of the ownership there as well. If he was not such a porous defender, I think he would have been more heavily incorporated in the game plan at the beginning of the series. But hopefully Broussard's back Monday.